Welcome, everybody, to the 50th episode of the Advanced Dungeons and Dynamics 365 Bare Bones Configuration Guide live stream, where we're going out and we're configuring Dynamics 365 finance and operations from the ground up. We started with nothing, and we've currently got all of our financials up and running. We've got products in the system, and right now we're working through the configuration of the inventory management. So we're in the depths of supply chain management, and we're going to be showing you the steps that we need to do in order to get accounting working and inventory working and all of those good things which are necessary for your supply chain. So what we're going to do today is we're going to continue what we were working on in the previous live stream, which was the initial setup of the inventory management controls. And in the last episode, what we did is we went out and we set up the item groups. And what we're going to do now is we're going to continue through the setup over the next 25 or so minutes and see how far we can get through the controls, starting with the item model groups. So that's where we're going to sort of move on from now. And for those of you that haven't seen this, or this is the first time, then what we're doing is we're working through this through the lab environment that we have. And the lab environment is a clean version of Dynamics with a couple of localizations for Faerûn, because all of this is done within the advanced Dungeons and Dynamics sort of concept, so that we've got all of this stuff that we can work with. And where this is the current environment that we've got so far. So if we go out and if we do a little bit of how far we've got within the products, we've got some released products here. We've got backpacks that we're selling within the Waterdeep Trading Company, the purveyor of the finest adventuring supplies for adventurers within Faerûn and the Sword Coast. And we also went out and started on the inventory yesterday, or in the previous live stream, it was yesterday for me. And we set up some of these item groups, which are the posting profiles. So we've got that there, but what we're going to do is we're going to look at what we're going to do today. And what we're working through is we're working through the bare bones configuration guides. And these are step-by-step instructions telling you pretty much exactly what to do with the setup and configuration of Dynamics. So we're not leaving really a lot to chance. We're telling you all the steps we need to move through. And this is the first module within the inventory management area. And what we're doing is the next step that we're working through is going to be the item model groups. Now, item model groups are really important, and they're a necessary configuration. And what they do is they say, how do I manage this inventory? How do I cost this inventory? Is this standard cost, or FIFO or LIFO, or weighted average cost? Is this an expensed item that we're just pulling in, and we're not going to do anything with the inventory from a inventory valuation level? So we need to set these up in order to really manage any of our products within the system. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go through and we're going to create a handful of different configurations, and then you can go and you can tinker with them and create your own different configurations yourself. And we'll start with an expensed item, looking through. We'll create a FIFO, LIFO, we'll create a moving weighted average, a standard cost, and that should be it. And we'll see how far we get through this as we move through. Now, all of these are going to be very similar in their configuration, with just slight variations of the flags that we set up in the system. So let's return back to our server. And what we're going to do is we're going to create our first item model group. And what I can do is I can find this menu item, I can find this facility or this page that we're managing through the menu search. I can just type an item model, and it's going to find the item model group. Or we can go over to the inventory management and or inventory control, and we can find the item model group here within the inventory section within the setup area. So if we open up that, then that's going to take us into the configuration area. Now, the first one that we're going to create is going to be for any of the items that are expensed. So this would be items that like toilet paper or wire or some screws maybe that we're just tracking for maintenance and so forth, as some examples. So we're going to create an expensed item model group. And I'm going to say that this is an expensed item. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to say that this isn't stocked. So this is a non-stocked expense product whenever we assign this model group to an item. So that was easy. So let's go out and create another one. And what we're going to do is we're going to create one for FIFO. And FIFO is first in, so this is going to be first hyphen in. So this is for items that where, let me spell that right. These are for items that we're going to track as they're coming in the product, and then we're going to cost it based off the oldest item. So the first product in is going to be the first item that we're then shipping out. And this is going to be, let's see, it's going to be FIFO. It's going to be, let me check some of these items, where it's automatically selecting the policies that we've got here for the post of the physical inventory. This inventory model selection is going to tell the system how do we want to manage this in costs or manage the model of the inventory. As you can see, we've got FIFO, LIFO, weighted average, and standard cost and moving average. So we've got a number of these set up in the system, already configured in the system, and these are really the only inventory models that we can set up. Now, also what we can do is we can go out and specify some of the inventory policies that we've got here. So for example, we can specify whether we can have physical negative inventory. We don't want that, or I don't want that. So I don't want the system to be able to go down into negative inventory regardless of how much stock we've got. I want to, in the end, go out and do a cycle count and reconcile the inventory and rectify it that way. And so let's go out, and I think that that's all we need to do here for the FIFO cost. Now, if we go out and create a LIFO costing, so I'm going to create a last in, first out. So this would be an example of where you're sort of pushing things to the back of an area, and you can't go and pick the thing at the back. So whatever was the last item that came in is probably the first item that you're going to pull out. Then this is going to have a LIFO costing model. Now, the reason why this is important is, say, for example, for these costing models, if you have inventory and you buy it at $10 or 10, let's say 10 gold pieces, and then that's fine. When you use it, you're going to cost it at 10 gold pieces. If you go out and buy some more at 11 gold pieces, then which of these items are you using? Are you using the 10 gold piece items or using the 11 gold piece items? In this case, it's going to be the 11 gold piece items because we're doing the last in, first out configuration. So we'll select that, and I don't believe that we've got any other configuration that we want to do. I'll create another one, and this is going to be uh, weighted moving average. Weighted cost model. And for this one, we're going to choose the weighted moving average, or the weighted average costing model. What this says is that if you buy 10 items at 10 gold pieces and you buy 10 items at let's say 12 gold pieces, then the average of that stock is going to be, if you've got 20 in stock, it's going to be 11 gold pieces. So now there's more to it than that, but the weighted moving average will change. But then, for example, when you use one of the say if you use 5 of the items that are at 10 gold pieces, then you've got five at 10 gold pieces and 10 at 11 gold pieces. So your cost is actually going to be, 12 gold pieces, your cost is probably going to be closer to 11.3 gold pieces rather than 11 gold pieces. So there's math that gets done in the back of here. And so we're going to go out and create one more. And we're going to create a standard costing model. And now for this, what we're going to do is we're going to choose the standard cost here. And what this means is that it doesn't really matter what we purchase this in, we're going to have a cost that's associated with our item. And then if we have a standard cost of 10 gold pieces, then it doesn't matter whether we buy it for 10 gold pieces or 11 gold pieces, we're going to cost it at 10 gold pieces. And then there's going to be a variance posting for the standard cost variance whenever we consume that goes somewhere else. So this is the simplest method, but it also has some drawbacks around that. So let's make this standard cost to make this line up with these items that we've got here. So what we've done is we've now gone out and configured some of these standard costs in the or standard cost models in the inventory. We haven't used them yet. We haven't assigned them to any products that we've got, but we can go out and we can start using them. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue on and we're going to go out and we're going to create some costing versions to create to stay with this theme of costing. And what this is saying is what we're going to do is we're going to have costing. We're going to have versions of costs which we track in the system. Now, the reason why we set these up is that we're going to have, we can say when I model out these prices, then I want to use the standard cost model that I use, or maybe we want to use a future cost model that's in the system, or a planning cost model. So these cost models are what we sort of the ledger that we assign our costs to. So now we're going to sort of move through into the costing versions, and let's go over to the over to here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to find the costing versions. So we can find these in a number of different places, and let's see. So we can find. I'm just looking at these to try to find the easiest way to get to this, and it looks like that I can access this through the menu, or if it's moved around a little bit as we've with the cost management, and then I think the costing versions are over here in the cost management. So if you've been running on like AX12 or something like that, then these this menu has actually changed a little bit. and then we'll pull this in and we'll create one. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create a new, let me just go back here. Okay, so this is what I was doing here is that if you notice, if I go to this costing version, then it doesn't allow us to go out and change any of these. So, and actually, if I was paying attention, if I look at the notes, then what we need to do is we need to go to cost management, costing, and then the predetermined policy setup for the costing management, which is over here, which is why this guide is really important, because it tells us where to go. And but notice that there's no new item here for the costing versions. So this is used purely for the maintenance of the costs on the costing version. But this one gives us a new option, and this is how we can go out and actually create a new costing version type here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new costing type. This is going to be a standard cost. And this is going to be standard. Let me just trying to get my reference popped up here. And then this is going to be standard cost. And then we're not going to block this. And also we're not going to block the activation either. So if we create costs, then the costs do not start being taken into effect or being recognized until they're active, or activated. So if I have this set to yes, then I cannot go and change any of the costs in here, which you may want to do periodically just to freeze your costs. But I want to go out and manage my costs, so I need to manage that there. And I think just going, what I'm actually doing here is I'm going out and I'm looking up the public Advanced Dungeon and Dynamics 365 server just to get my reference. And as you can see, I've got my setup here for the standard cost and the planned cost. You can actually access this. This is a public site. There's with a lot of my documents, and you'll actually see the username and password that you can log into this and have read-only access. So let's go back to the server and let's look at some of these. We've got the standard version, standard cost. It's a costing type of standard. We can go out and we can make this specific to a certain site. We haven't set up any sites yet. So you could actually have specific costing by site set up in the system, and then calculation. We don't need anything there. So that's for the standard cost. And then what we can do is we can go out and create another one, which is a planned cost. And I'm going to do the same here for the costing and say that this, I don't want to have activation. So this is what we're doing here is we can go out and we can have a cost for planning, which may be used for our manufacturing or our spell formulations within the system. And but also we're going to have a standard cost, which is really the financial cost or the financial journals that we're going to use for all of our costing components. So we're working through this, and if I go and look at our documentation, then we've gone out and we've configured the costings. Let's set up one last item, which is our cost calculation groups. And let me. And what these are going to be, again, groups for our costing calculation. But what we can do is we could separate out our products by their product type, so that we could go out and do cost roll-ups, for example, just for clothing, or just for foodstuffs, or for potions, or for spellcraft, or anything that we may want to do within the system. So we're going to go out and do that. And we're going to do that on the server, and we're going to set up one last item before we finish off for this live stream. So what we want to do is we want to find the calculation groups. And this is in the cost management and policies. So if I go to, again, to the cost management, go to the predetermined cost categories, then we've got our calculation groups here as well, which we've got as blank. And okay, but now in the example data, we're actually only going to set up one here, but we're going to set up a couple as we sort of move through. So what we're going to do is we're just going to start off like I did, and I'm going to create a default calculation group. And then I believe that's all we need to do here for our cost price. So what this can do is I can go out and I can say, what is my cost price? How do I want to model this? What is my cost price? In this case, I could make this the inventory price or the last purchase price. And then I could go out and have a backup or a fallback model if I don't have a price for that. And then also I can say, when I run this, when I run the cost updates, then tell me if there's no BOM or no cost price, and track that within the system. And I can use, this is going to be used for the cost group. Now, there's also a flag here for stop explosion. And what that means is that, or I believe what that means is that when we're going, if we've got a multi-level bill of material or a formulation where I've got subcomponents rolling up to the main components, or subcomponents rolling up to other subcomponents, then we're just going to use whatever the cost is that's being calculated for that item if we have this flag set within the, for the costing. If we don't have this set, then what it will do is it will go out and cost out all of the subcomponents and the subformulations and the sub-bill of materials, and we don't need to do that. And let me make that tidy for the default calculation group. Now, also what we could do here is I could go out and I could create a new one here, and this could be for so I could have, or I could have this set up for the potions, and then when I go out and when I configure my products, then I'm just going to associate them with different calculation groups. You may or may not want to do this. It's entirely up to you. So what we've done is we've gone out and we've configured some of the costing items or costing mechanisms that we're going to use in the system for all of our products. And what we're going to do is we're going to stop here for today, and then in the next live stream, what we're going to do is we're going to go out and start working on some inventory journals. So for those of you that have followed in the ledger, we have a lot of journals. We have journals for the AP invoices and so forth. We actually have the same items here for inventory. So we have inventory movements, we've got counting journals and all these things. And this is how we keep track of all of the inventory and all of the values. So we're going to set those up in the next session. So let's, what we're going to do is we're going to stop for today. That we've been working on this for around about half an hour, and we've set up some of the controls and some of the costing mechanisms that we're using in the system. We've done quite a lot that we can use, that we'll use when we start sort of tweaking our products that we've set up in the system. So what we'll do is we'll stop. If anyone has any questions about this live stream or any of the previous live streams as you go through and browse them, then just add comments in on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you found the live stream, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. And if anyone likes this project, then I've always got to say, if you like this, then don't remember that there's a Patreon site where we're sort of begging for copper pieces so that we can keep the servers up and running, because this is a grassroots sort of project. It's not being subsidized by anything. So if you like this and you'd like to support this project and keep it going for another 50 episodes, which hopefully we'll get to, then go to patreon.com/ADND365, or you can, if you can, scan the QR code that's up there and that'll take you directly to there. If you're interested in seeing any of these guides and working through these yourself, then you can go to ADND365.com/start, and you'll be able to see all of the guides, all of the ones, all the legacy ones and all the new ones that we're releasing out in this format that you're seeing me beta test play in these live streams. So with that said, what we'll do is we'll stop for today, and I'll see you hopefully on the next live stream.